The national minimum wage was established in a landmark labor law that President Franklin Roosevelt signed nearly 90 years ago. Today, the minimum wage is just over $7 an hour. But a provision in the law allows employers to pay certain workers with disabilities less than that. Ali Rogan is back with a conversation with Maria Town, the president and CEO of the American Association of People with Disabilities. It's part of our series, Disability Reframed.
Maria, thank you for joining us. Why is it legal for some companies to pay some workers less than the minimum wage, which right now is $7.25? What's the history of this rule?
Well, in 1938, during the New Deal, the United States passed the Fair Labor Standards Act, which sounds very good, and in many ways it is. It outlawed child labor, it established the 40-hour work week, and within the Fair Labor Standards Act, there is a section that allows employers to pay people with disabilities less than minimum wage. And this was originally created as a kind of incentive program to get employers to kind of hire people that were deemed unhireable. You know, it was based on the idea that disabled people were inherently less productive, so you could pay us less, but we still needed to work. And that policy and the programs associated with it have stayed in place, again, since 1938.
What is the environment like now for people in the workforce who have disabilities?
Well, so in the span of almost 90 years, we've had a whole disability civil rights movement happen that's still happening today that's actually been fairly successful. We've had the Rehabilitation Act that establishes non-discrimination by the federal government. We've passed the Americans with Disabilities Act and amended it to make it even better, where workers with disabilities can get reasonable accommodations so that we can be as effective as possible and thrive in our workplaces. We also have things like technology. You know, imagine how much the types of jobs available in our economy have changed from 1938, where you've got a lot of like factory labor, to today you have programming or customer service, right? We have remote work opportunities. We also have completely different ideas of people with disabilities. In 1938, you would not have seen a person like me running my organization because I would have never had an opportunity to go to school and get a quality, free and appropriate public education. Like, the whole landscape of disability has changed since this time. And in the statute that authorizes this program, it actually has a clause that says it only needs to stay in place while it's necessary. And we would argue it is no longer necessary nor right to pay people with disabilities less than minimum wage.
And we should level set here. What types of industries and employers have used this program? What type of work is this program meant to incentivize?
It's a great question. Things like sorting documents, paper shredding, cleaning of buildings. You see a lot of companies that primarily hire people with disabilities doing maintenance work on buildings, lawn mowing services, things like that.
Is there any concern that if this rule is changed, that people may simply stop employing people who, until this point, they've been able to pay less money? Is there a concern that people might stop putting people with disabilities in these jobs?
That is a concern, and a lot of the families have that concern and are very vocal with that concern. And it is understandable. For many people who have worked in these jobs, they've actually been in these jobs for decades. And for a lot of families, this was an alternative to institutionalizing their loved one. So it was a good thing in maybe the 70s or the 80s, before we had things like the Americans with Disabilities Act or the Olmstead decision. But research consistently shows that that fear is not based in reality. A new study from Northwestern University examined phase-outs of sub-minimum wage that have happened across the country, and there are a number of states that have already phased out this program. And what that study found is that employment actually improves for people with disabilities once sub-minimum wage is phased out. Not only does it improve, it actually opens up high-wage jobs for disabled people.
This proposal is coming at the end of the Biden administration, the beginning of the Trump one. Some allies of Mr. Trump have said that they would prefer that this rule stay as it is. Where do you think this ends up?
Well, ultimately, after the public comment period concludes, it will be up to the Trump administration to determine whether or not they've finalized this rule and what is included in that finalization. So they could do nothing with it, or they could decide to finalize it. And if they do, they can make a number of changes within the rule. And it is really up to us, the disability community, to make sure that the Trump administration does the right thing and ends this discriminatory program.
Maria Town, President and CEO of the American Association of People with Disabilities, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Come on, throw in a buck.
I don't tip.
You don't tip?
No, I don't believe in it.
You don't believe in tipping?
You know what these chicks make? They make shit. Don't give me that. She don't make enough money, she can quit.
I don't even know a fucking Jew would have the balls to say that. Now, let me just get this straight. You don't ever tip, huh?
I don't tip because society says I have to. All right, I'll tip if somebody really deserves a tip. If they really put forth the effort, I'll give them something extra. But, this tipping automatically, it's for the birds.
President Trump took a victory lap in Las Vegas over the weekend and pledged to deliver on one of his signature campaign promises.
We're going to get it for you. No tax on tips. No tax on tips.
The idea also has its skeptics, as NPR's Asma Khalid reports.
Eliana Kaye works on tips, and she has for the last few years.
I'm a server and a bartender here in Austin, Texas.
Kaye is also an organizer with Restaurant Workers United.
I would say about 95 at least % of my income is off of tips.
She says eliminating taxes on tips would help her personally pay rent and save money. And in theory, she supports anything that would put more money into the pockets of low-income workers. But still, she doesn't think this is the right fix.
I think it's more of a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. It would be more beneficial if there were laws for higher hourly wages for restaurant workers in general.
The minimum wage for tipped workers in Texas is $2.13, the same as the federal rate. The overall minimum wage is $7.25. Tipped workers are supposed to make up the difference through gratuities. Trump first floated the idea of no taxes on tips last summer, promising that he would do this right away first thing in office. The forward slogan was plastered on billboards, and the Democratic presidential candidate, Kamala Harris, introduced a similar version of the idea. It was so popular amongst a subset of voters that Trump credits it with helping him win the key state of Nevada in the presidential election. And over the weekend, he was back there reiterating his pledge.
Your tips will be 100% yours.
He did not offer a whole lot of details, but said he'll be working with Congress in the coming weeks to get a tax bill that keeps his promise. Large portions of Trump's sweeping 2017 tax law are set to expire at the end of 2025, and that would allow Congress an opportunity to amend existing tax policy. Earlier this month, the two Democratic senators from Nevada joined forces with a group of Republicans to reintroduce legislation that would exempt tips from federal income taxes. That bill has been endorsed by the National Restaurant Association. Sean Kennedy is with the group.
It's something that could bring more people into the restaurant workforce. We are an industry that is chronically understaffed.
But even as the no taxes on tips idea has some support from industry and some bipartisan political support, tax experts and economists don't love it.
It's a solution in search of a problem.
I think it is actually terrible policy.
There is no real economic merit to the idea.
That was Alex Morishanu with the Tax Foundation, Heidi Shearholtz with the Economic Policy Institute, and Bill Gale with the Brookings Institution. Here's Gale again.
It's not a good way to help low-income workers because the vast majority of low-income workers don't get tips.
According to the Budget Lab at Yale University, over 90% of hourly low-income workers are not tipped. And that's not the only criticism economists have. They say it'll complicate the tax code and open the system up to abuse over the definition of a tip. But still, the idea has fans. The Nevada Culinary Union welcomes it. Ted Papageorge is with the union.
Economists have never worked for $2.13 an hour.
so I don't listen to a lot of what they're saying.
Here's his take.
Taxes on tips should be removed, and the sub-minimum wage should be eliminated.
He says both are helpful, and he's not going to stop fighting to change that minimum wage, too. Asma Khalid, NPR News.
And now, a word from the president.
It's been just a day since an email from the Trump administration hit federal workers' inboxes, inviting nearly all federal employees to resign. They were told if you do it by February 6, you can keep your pay through the end of September. Already, unions and attorneys who represent federal employees are sending out their own urgent message. Don't resign. NPR's Andrea Hsu has more.
Jim Eisenman was in the middle of teaching a law and policy class yesterday when a student brought up the Trump administration's offer.
I had no idea what she was talking about.
Eisenman worked inside the federal government before becoming partner with the Alden Law Group representing federal workers. Once he heard the details, he knew it didn't sound right. The memo from the Office of Personnel Management, or OPM, told workers they could resign under something called a deferred resignation program. Eisenman knew there was no such thing.
It's not based on any law or regulation or anything really other than an idea they cooked up to get federal employees out of the government.
Federal employees suspected as much, too. On Reddit and elsewhere, they expressed confusion and disbelief. The memo was unclear. Could they really quit and still get paid for 8 months? Later, OPM sent out an FAQ clarifying that employees who choose to resign would not be expected to work, except in rare cases. Still, Eisenman is cautioning federal workers to be wary. Even if they accept the offer to be paid through September 30th,
there's no guarantee other things won't happen to them between now and then, like they won't get fired for some other reason.
Another red flag for federal workers was that the email came directly from OPM. That's not normal. Federal workers say communications regarding personnel matters always come from their agencies. Matthew Biggs says the administration doesn't have the authority to go around the agencies. He's president of the International Federation of Professional and Technical Engineers. That's a union representing roughly 30,000 federal workers.
What a reckless and irresponsible thing to do, to send out something like that.
Biggs is calling the email a resignation threat, pointing to language in the memo that warns employees who choose to remain in their jobs that the future of their positions and their agencies is not assured. Now, the OPM email that went out noted that some federal employees are not eligible to resign, including people working in immigration enforcement and national security. Nevertheless, Biggs says some of his members who are doing those jobs got the email, including immigration judges and others.
We represent people that do cybersecurity at NASA and other places. At the Navy Yards, we represent folks that prepare these submarines and these aircraft carriers to go out to sea.
He can't believe that they, too, have been invited to quit.
What if all these people accepted the offer? What would that do to our national security? What would it do to public services in general?
Other federal employee unions call the resignation offer a hostile effort to disparage employees and disrupt essential services like food safety inspections or taxpayer assistance. One called it a purge of the federal government.
That's absolutely false.
Caroline Leavitt is White House press secretary. She says this is a great option for federal workers who don't want to return to the office 5 days a week.
This is a suggestion to federal workers that they have to return to work. And if they don't, then they have the option to resign. And this administration is very generously offering to pay them for 8 months.
It's likely that in a workforce of more than 2 million people, there will be some takers, especially among those who do work remotely and can't easily relocate to be near a federal office. But for many federal employees, serving the American people is what they chose to do. Only now under Trump, those who want to keep doing it may not have that opportunity. Andrea Hsu, NPR News, Washington.
Federal agencies have submitted plans for their workers to return to the office full-time for the first time since the pandemic, as directed by President Trump. That means thousands of government workers will likely descend on Washington each day. Scott Massioni from member station WYPR reports from Baltimore.
It takes Lane 20 minutes to drive to the train station in Baltimore.
The train ride is anywhere from about 40 minutes to an hour. I wake up at 4:10 in the morning, and I get to work bright and early between about 6 and 6:15.
Lane's a federal employee and works in person 2 days a week, a common setup for some federal workers. NPR is only using her middle name because she fears speaking out about the new telework policies may jeopardize her job. Lane says she works those 2 in-person days back to back, finishing up at the office around 3 p.m. and getting back home around 5.
You know, I'm so exhausted at the end of the day. By that third morning, when I'm, waking up and teleworking, I am just so brain dead. It's actually hard to focus that next day. I cannot imagine trying to get in the car and go in a third day.
Lane, like many of the more than 300,000 federal employees in the surrounding D.C. area, may have to find a way to make it into the office 5 days a week, depending on how agencies implement a new executive memo from the Trump administration. While D.C. is home to many federal agency headquarters, many employees choose to live outside the city. David Johnson, the deputy director of Maryland's MART train service, says they're ready for new commuters.
We're currently at about 50% pre-pandemic ridership, so we do have capacity to accommodate additional passengers.
The Trump administration's memo claims that telework has degraded government services and made it difficult to supervise workers. However, federal agencies have had telework policies and agreements with employees for 15 years. The Office of Personnel Management has produced numerous studies that show federal teleworking improves morale, retention, and stress. Some agencies have done studies that showed productivity increases when people telework because they have more flexibility. For some workers living outside the city, it's also a cheaper option. According to Zillow, the average home in D.C. is more than $600,000, and the average rent is between $2,200 and $2,500. Lane moved from D.C. to Baltimore about 40 miles away 20 years ago when her spouse got a job there.
We were actually able to buy a house here where we couldn't in D.C. due to cost. At this point, we have a life here. So moving back to the D.C. area is not something that's particularly financially feasible and not a particularly pleasant option either.
Lane says there are people in her office who live as far away as Delaware or Pennsylvania. Some of them rent rooms and shared houses for the days they have to be in the office. She says for her and for many other federal employees, no telework options would likely make her reconsider staying at her agency. For NPR News, I'm Scott Maucione in Baltimore.
Target once touted its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, a promise that seemed particularly important to a company headquartered in the city where the police killing of George Floyd set off a wave of protests around the world. But now, with DEI initiatives under attack by the Trump White House, the company, along with others, says it is winding down these programs, and that is prompting calls for a boycott from activists and influencers like Angela Artis.
I was a Target shopper, but I am not anymore. Until they reinstate that DEI program, I will not be shopping there. And I hope you don't too.
But some black business owners who sell their products at Target say the move would hurt them the most. One of them is April Showers, founder and CEO of Afro Unicorn, a character-driven brand based around a black unicorn. When you heard that these companies were winding down their DEI initiatives or whatever they called it, what do you think?
Initially, I wasn't that surprised, only because of the administration that we're under. I was disappointed, to say the least, but I had been disappointed for some time because I saw it winding down. I saw that the care for diversity, equity, and inclusion after George Floyd was really only around for a solid 18 months. So to hear these companies say that they were rolling back, I wasn't surprised, but I was disappointed, if that makes sense.
Have you seen any impact on your business of these, either the sort of call to wind down the DEI initiatives or these calls for a boycott? Have you seen any fall off in sales or any impact on your sales?
Not yet, but we're so early right now. Literally, I think a lot of the frustration too from the buyers is that the day that this came out, it was 1 day or 2 days before the set of the Black History Month program in Target. So these products just hit the floors this week.
As a vendor, as a supplier, you can't just boycott the retailer. Could you just say as briefly as you can why that's not so easy for you? Like for a consumer, you can just say, well, I'm not going to buy that, or I'm not going to shop there. But as a vendor, you can't do that.
Well, I think what it is people are asking us to take our products out of the stores.
Right.
So that's the part that we cannot easily do. And we wouldn't want to just take our products out of the stores because there are thousands of people that walk these aisles every day. Our direct-to-consumer business does exist. But the eyeballs that we get by having your products in stores does not even compare.
Some of these companies made a really big deal out of their DEI initiatives. Is there any part of you that feels betrayed that now that they say they're winding them down or walking them back for whatever reason?
Not at all. I feel thankful for the opportunity. Giving me that shelf space is basically giving me another business. What I feel betrayed by are people saying that these products that I made for them, that they're not going to support them. That's the betrayal.
And because?
Because these products were made for them in mind. They were created because before there were no brown unicorns, you could not see yourselves in these particular products. And then you make these products, and then the ones that you make them with them in mind say that they're not going to support it. That's the betrayal.
Well, what do you say to people who say, look, these companies take a lot of our money. We are tired of being bullied by these companies. We want to be respected as consumers. And this is the only way that they can get their points across. I mean, look, one of the signature events of the civil rights movement was the Montgomery bus boycott. Boycotts have a storied history in American history and international events. And so what do you say to people who say this is a time-honored tactic?
And people can do what they want and purchase where they want to purchase. We're saying if you do want to purchase our product and you still want to support us in these retailer stores, you can walk into these stores and purchase our products only and walk out. Those numbers will still hurt.
So it is complicated.
It's very complicated. And I hate the fact that we are fighting about how to support black businesses. We have a man in leadership who has this attack on words like diversity, equity, and inclusion. So many people are missing that. Why do people even care so strongly and passionately that we should not be diverse, there should not be equity, and there should not be any inclusion?
That is April Showers. She's the founder and CEO of Afro Unicorn. It's a character-driven brand that sells like fashion and toys and puzzles and so forth, and she sells at Target and Walmart. April Showers, thanks so much for talking with us.
Thank you for having me, Michelle.
Federal investigators have retrieved the cockpit voice and flight data recorders from the American Airlines jet that collided with an Army helicopter Wednesday night.
The crash, which occurred over the Potomac River, killed 67 people.
Last week, long before the crash, I signed an executive order restoring our highest standards for air traffic controllers and other important jobs throughout the country. So it was very interesting. About a week ago, almost upon entering office, I signed something last week that was an executive order, very powerful, on restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers and others, by the way. Then my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they are. It matters intellect, talent, the word talent. You have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses. You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't be able to do it. But we'll restore faith in American air travel. I'll have more to say about that. I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing. And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in, and they want them, they can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so. This was in January 14th, so that was a week before I entered office. They put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program. Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration, this was before I got to office, recently, second term. The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Can you imagine? These are people that are, I mean, actually their lives are shortened because of the stress that they have. brilliant people have to be in those positions, and their lives are actually shortened, very substantially shortened, because of the stress, where you have many, many planes coming into one target, and you need a very special talent and a very special genius to be able to do it. Targeted disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruitment and hiring. The FAA's website states they include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism all qualify for the position of a controller of airplanes pouring into our country, pouring into a little spot, a little dot on the map, a little runway. The initiative is part of the FAA's Diversity and Inclusion Hiring Plan. Think of that. The initiative is part of the FAA's Diversity and Inclusion Hiring Plan, which says diversity is integral to achieving FAA's mission of ensuring safe and efficient travel. I don't think so. I think it's just the opposite. The FAA website shows that the agency's guidance on diversity hiring were last updated on March 23rd of 22. They wanted to make it even more so. And then I came in, and I assume maybe this is the reason.
We don't even yet know the names of the 67 people who were killed, and you are blaming Democrats and DEI policies and air traffic control and seemingly the member of the U.S. military who was flying that Black Hawk helicopter. Don't you think you're getting ahead of the investigation right now?
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think with the names of the people. You mean the names of the people that are on the plane? You think that's going to make a difference?
Does it come for their families?
They are a group of people that have lost their lives. If you want a list of the names, we can give you that. We'll be giving that very soon. We're in coordination with American Airlines. We're in coordination very strongly, obviously, with the military. But I think that's not a very smart question. I'm surprised coming from you.
Are you blaming
please.
On your executive order, you've already issued an executive order. You say will restore aviation safety.
Right.
This crash happened after that. Was the executive order successful, and what more needs to change to keep people safe?
Well, you know, we issued it 3 days ago, and we're in the process of making those changes. This is something that should have been done a long time ago. Actually, my original order should have never been changed, and I think maybe you wouldn't have had this problem. Maybe. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. We see, like, everyday life that very often those diversity hires cause sometimes issues, as you just mentioned. So what plan do you have? Are we going to see some fire? Are you going to fire some of those diversity hires in the federal government? What plan do you have?
I would say the answer is yes. If we find that people aren't mentally competent, you see the language. The language is put out by them. And if you see that, I'm not going to bore you by reading it again, but these are not people that should be doing this particular job. They'd be very good for certain jobs, but not people that should be doing this particular job.
Mr. President, you have today blamed the diversity elements, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. You then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. We want brilliant people doing this. This is a major chess game at the highest level. When you have 60 planes coming in during a short period of time, and they're all coming in different directions, and you're dealing with very high-level computer work and very complex computers. And one of the other things I will tell you is that the systems that were built, I was going to rebuild the entire system, and then we had an election that didn't turn out the way it should have. But they didn't build the systems properly. They spent a lot of money renovating a system, spending much more money than they would have spent if they bought a new system for air traffic controllers, meaning the computerized systems. There are certain companies that do a very good job. They didn't use those companies. They used companies that should not have been doing it. No, I think it's very important to understand that for some jobs, and not only this, but air traffic controllers, they have to be at the highest level of genius. Okay.
I want to ask you about the ice skaters in a moment because the U.S. Ice Skating Committee was affected. But first, if I can, the cited FAA text that you read is real, but the implication that this policy is new or that it stems from efforts that began under President Biden or the Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is demonstrably false. It's been on the FAA's website.
That, you?
No, it's on the website, the FAA's website. It was there in 2013. It was there for the entirety.
What I read.
It was there for the entirety of your administration too. So my question is, why didn't you change the policy during your first administration?
I did change it. I changed the Obama policy, and we had a very good policy. And then Biden came in, and he changed it. And then when I came in 3 days ago, I signed a new order, bringing it to the highest level of intelligence. Okay.
It's on the website.
Please. Quiet.
Thank you. Welcome back to the. I'm sorry. You mentioned that a vision was probably the problem that was at issue in this crash. There's been some reports that one of the pilots in the helicopter may have been using night vision equipment. Was there any?
I heard that. We don't know. We're going to know that pretty soon. It may change your viewplane if you do have the night vision. So it's very possible that could have happened. That would be maybe a reason why you wouldn't actually see as well as on a clear night. You can see sometimes better without it. A couple of more.
Mr. President, is it helpful to have your Secretary of Transportation confirmed, and does this intensify your interest in getting other nominees confirmed quickly?
Go to what?
Is it helpful to have your Secretary of Transportation confirmed, and does this intensify your interest in getting other nominees confirmed quickly as well?
Well, sure. We want fast confirmations, and the Democrats, as you know, are doing everything they can to delay them. They've taken too long. We're struggling to get very good people that everybody knows are going to be confirmed, but we're struggling to get them out faster. We want them out faster. It's a good question, actually. We've been pushing Sean. Everyone knows Sean for a long time. He got many, many Democrat votes, but they want to take as long as they can. They ask questions like some of the questions that Peter would ask that were totally irrelevant and not very good questions, but they want to just keep it going. They want to keep it going as long as possible. I was very honored, actually, that you got so many Democrat votes. That was really good. That was really good.
When I try to meet with the families, and second question, is it your impression that military training was done during that time?
The what?
The training that the helicopter was involved in. Is it anything you can tell us about?
You don't know. These are the things that will come up with the investigation. You don't know, but the helicopter obviously was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and a tragedy occurred. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've got a question about the.
No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've been critical of the current regulations, and you've called for big reforms at FAA. I'm curious, sir.
I made the reforms, actually.
What is your message?
3 days ago, I made them.
Yes, sir. What is your message then to the American public in the weeks and months ahead? Should they feel hesitant to fly? And if you could clarify perhaps something that the Defense Secretary said when he said that this helicopter was on a continuity of government mission?
I don't know what that refers to, but they were practicing. They do that. They call it practicing, and they were, and that's something that should be done. It's only continuity in the sense that we want to have very good people, and that has to be in continuity, and that's what they refer to. But it was basically practice, and it was a practice that worked out very, very badly. Okay?
On his question, the first question, should people be hesitant to fly right now?
No, not at all. I've not hesitated to fly. This is something that it's been many years that something like this has happened, and the collision is just something that we don't expect ever to happen again. We are going to have the highest level people. We've already hired some of the people that you've already hired for that position long before we knew about this. I mean, long before. From the time I came in, we started going out and getting the best people because I said it's not appropriate what they're doing. I think it's a tremendous mistake. You know, they like to do things and they like to take them too far, and this is sometimes what ends up happening. Now, with that, I'm not blaming the controller. I'm saying there are things that you could question, like the height of the helicopter, the height of the plane being at the same level and going in opposite directions. It's not a positive. But no, we're already hiring people. No, flying is very safe. We have the safest flying anywhere in the world, and we'll keep it that way. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you. Worthless Negro from Virginia, Gusty Renegade, in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information with other non-white people victims of white supremacy. The Cows, today's date, Friday, January 31, 2025. Can you feel it? Negro History Month is hours away. Whew. I'm all a tingle. Neutralizing Workplace Racism. I'll get it in right now. Now, I'm sure there will be all kinds of tacky folly. Got a whole month for white people to come and get in their chitlin and fried chicken jokes and watermelon, all that good stuff. Be prepared so that you have a response. If they try and ask you to come and be involved in any sort of programs, cultural awareness, anything like that that is related to Black History Month, no thank you. Kindly decline about business, whatever your job is, which I'm sure has nothing to do with Black History Month unless you teach cultural studies or something of that nature, I guess. Anyhoodles, our weekly segment, Neutralizing Workplace Racism, not for spectators. The number, 605-313-5164, the code 564-943 #. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The number again, 605-313-5164, the code 564-943 #. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com, untiljustice@gmail.com. If you have concerns about your voice being identified or you don't feel confident speaking out publicly, drop us an email if you figured out some strategies, which we need, tips, or if you have difficulties, you can let us know. We will try to do our best to help solve problems without creating new problems. One, I will say, Gusty at the University of Washington today, which is kind of a bummer because even though I grasp that many other parts of the U.S. past few days or so, it's been really cold, like frigid, snow in some parts and all the rest. We really didn't get that here in Seattle. We had a few days where the temperature dropped down to like 32 degrees at night, I will add, 32 degrees at night and a few of those. But I mean, it has been a very mild winter here, with the exception of whatever happened while I was down in California, where I think it may have been a blizzard warning or whatever transpired that I missed during that time period. Other than that, it has been, dare I say, balmy. It hasn't even rained that much. We normally get rain. It hasn't even been rainy. It's just been 40s, 50s. It felt like, ooh, spring is about to break. Just this week, even. Can't wait. And Groundhog Day a coming. But it was ugly weather today. And it wasn't even so much that it was freezing, because it wasn't, that cold, but it was blustery and overcast like all day long. I think the street lights were on all day long, and it rained off and on all day long. It's one of those days like, wow. If there is going to be a day to call in sick or to work from home or whatever it is, and I'm going to stay in my footies and make hot chocolate and get the old laptop and just get work done snuggled up right here, this would be the day to do it. But came out to UW. They were doing a talk, which I didn't even have high expectations for, because, man, One phrase I do not ever need to hear again in life, as long as the system of white supremacy exists. I think I can say this. I do not ever need to hear these two words put together ever again. Almost an oxymoron. Black power. Unless it's like Cat Williams, and I don't even watch Cat Williams. Dave Chappelle, maybe he wants to come out and give us a good one on black power. Unless it's that, I'm good. Maybe even what I just said, maybe that's telling you what I think of someone. They're going to sit down and tell me with a straight face, we're going to have a serious talk about racism, white supremacy, counter-racism, and I need the term black power. It would be better if we got Cat Williams for this, because that's about the size of it. And interestingly, I think at this point, 2025, white people and non-white people would much rather discuss and use the term black power as opposed to what is not a joke, what is not fiction, white power. The system of white supremacy racism. I don't want to. Come on, man. Come on. Any hoodles. Later for that. Can't even get the white power. Getting back to the problem, white power. The audio snippets that we heard at the beginning of the broadcast. The first one, they talked about some of the different workers that are hired, so-called disabled, that they don't get paid as much. They don't even have to get paid minimum wage. Now, they didn't say anything about racism, white supremacy in that segment. It would not surprise me at all if you got a substantial number of black people who get brought into these positions. Cleaning, it's going to be low skill, low wage, super duper low wage type jobs. I'm not saying all black. I'm not even saying all non-white, but I would kind of be surprised if it was not, because that way they can come and do some racial showcasing and pull out their little non-white people, and they get a twofer, because then they can also say, hey, man, we hire people that are disabled and all that. Look at us, man. We are all about civil service and looking out for the community with our business and all that old nonsense, and, you know, pay you peanuts or something like that. Or if it's Hardee's, maybe they give you a Happy Meal. They don't even give you money. I mean, they say, well, Leroy is disabled, so, you know, we let him come in and mop, and he doesn't do that good a job mopping. Look at that streak. You see the streaks right there? So we just let him get 3 chicken nuggets and call it even. Come on, man. And it's 2025, and they're still doing that. Come on. And it even sounds like plantational to even do something like that. Like, come on. Come on. And that with the tips, I remember when now president, when he was on the campaign trail campaigning, President Trump said, oh yeah, we're going to do away with taxing the tips and all that, and all the white women, and I looked then, I said, all that tipping also goes back to slavery, racism, white supremacy. With the niggers, who's going to do the serving? Serving and slave and servile almost mean the same thing, nigger. That's what the history of tipping. They got white people who wrote whole books about that in this part of the world, right here at the University of Washington Library. But I remember when he talked about all that. Now he's in office. That was like months ago, 2024. Now he's in office, and they said, well, dang, it doesn't even seem like he has like a plan to get this together. Even, in fact, now you can dig the priorities. Day one, he pardoned all them criminals and white miscreants. January 6 hostages, he say. That's a much smaller number than the people that could be constructively impacted. Like, man, get that tip tax taken care of. Man, come on. Where are the priorities at, man? And are white women, they're going to hold his feet to the fire, as they say. Make sure you going to be held accountable. You told us you was going to do away with them taxes, man. You get them taxes done, man. We have to see. Let's see. President Trump also talking about the federal employees, saying we got, glut waste. That's why I need Elon Musk. Don't even get me started on the DEI glut of all of this. But yeah, you all out here. Now, in that report, they talked about the confusion You get this message sent out, hey, you can leave and get a buyout, and you won't even have to work and all the rest of it. And they say, what? Is this true? Is this according to policy? And they said, some of you said, no, it's not. And oh my goodness. Racism, white supremacy is about generating confusion. I've said before, I've talked about this for years, almost since the inception of Neutralizing Workplace Racism, policy and procedure. Policy and procedure, and I said specifically, read the whole policy and procedure as soon as you get that new job. In fact, you should maybe even see, can you read the policy and procedure before you accept the job? That way you can kind of see what you are signing on, what you're agreeing to by taking this job. But at minimum, read the whole thing, every paragraph, as soon as you get that job, if not before. That way, you know, because generally the policy and procedure, and they'll cover this sort of thing generally when you start a job. That's why they have training. They'll wheel out somebody from human resources, but they will cover all of that. They should, if you have a job where they do what they're supposed to do and properly inform new hires. If you leave, what are the conditions of you leaving? Can you, what happens, what's the severance going to be if you get terminated? If you give 2 weeks notice, if you work so long, this is how long you have to work before you get retired. They go over all of that, and sometimes it'll be spelled out explicitly in the manual. That way you will know. Now, you get some sort of crazy memo, you already know policy and procedure, so wait a minute. Now, is this what I read? Is this what we went over and I asked questions about, or is this something great? Now, sometimes they update. That certainly happens, where they have new updates and all that. Let's go verify. Was the policy updated? Question lane. That's the correct procedure, as opposed to, whoa, they got a new one. Did you see this? Wow, I'm getting mine together to get it. Confusion. Let's see. The working from home. So much with federal employees. We had talked about this before. They sent out the notification, new presidential administration, get your hind parts back in the district. You're not going to be hanging out Maryland, hellhole, Delaware, Pennsylvania. That's kind of far. I was thinking too, like, wow, they really scampered. But all that's done, back to the district, man. New day. You have to be in the office. You're degrading public service. Now, again, I don't know how many, non-white people are being impacted by this. This is another one that I'm going to have to see. Now, are they going to enforce this? You're going to give up that place, that house, uproot your family from Maryland and get back down here, or you're going to resign this position. I'm going to have to see. Now, are they for real? They're going to make a whole lot of white people kiss these jobs off, or make them, move back down here. Is this going to be another one? We have a lot of white defiance where these whites say, no, I'm not, I'm not going to do it. You're going to have to terminate me or what have you, because I'm not quitting either. That way you're going to have to give me my severance and all the rest of it, because no, I'm not quitting. And, we like Baltimore. The Wire was wrong in some respects, and we like what we got here. We will have to see. That's also another one now. How many non-white people are in this position where they were working from home and had a great setup, had got a little distance, got them a nice bit of property maybe in West Virginia, in Virginia, western part of the state. That's the way I'll say it. Maybe they hooked up something like that. Is it a non-white people who are in that sort of bind? I'd be curious to know. Do we have any non-white listeners in that situation? I'd be curious to know. Let's see. Importantly, now they said the justification for we got to get folks back in the office 5 days a week was they said it had degraded the quality of service. And then they said it was difficult for supervisors to oversee their subordinates. That's one that I've heard that might be really the primary reason for all this, because I've seen a number of reports that have suggested, man, for some people, they don't have to do that monstrous commute. Talk about Seattle, down here, man, you have some folks, they live in Tacoma or further south, and you have to commute into Seattle 5 days a week. That traffic can be ungodly. Might take hours. They had done reports on that. They were saying, like, some people, they come to Seattle to work, and then they drive or whatever out, take public transportation, whatever. Man, it could be 3 hours of commute time tacked on to your 8-hour, 9-hour workday. Come on. For that sort of nonsense, I got to come back into the office just because you say service has been degraded. Like I said, they got a lot of reports that have said actually service is at least on par, if not better, because people don't have to do that monstrous commute, don't have all that in-person racism and or just in-person annoyance and nonsense and time wasting that they would have in the office. It's actually quiet here. I don't have to do all the wasting time and, oh, how's your family? What did y'all do this weekend? Oh, you got the Christmas pictures to show me again. Oh, you don't have to go through all that. I can just stay here. I can cook something to eat for lunch, be healthy, all that commute time. I can make lunch for myself, homemade, save money, get all kinds of work done, be cracking. Need to have you in the office so we can keep an eye on you, see what you're up to. Let's see, man, Tarjay. Now, we brought this up last week on the compensatory call-in. Folks were saying, blaming it on the worst Negro male in the history of life, Al Sharpton, running around in 2025, Al Sharpton, talking about I'm boycotting Tarjay because they don't want to do the DIE program no more, and so later for you suckers, we not going to shop there no more. We talked about that on the program. I don't have no issue with that, no problem with Al Sharpton. What I said, long live Al Sharpton. Victims guaranteed problem, victims guaranteed qualified, no problem, no issue with that at all. Now, NPR, they bring on Afro Unicorn to discuss how the boycott has impacted them. I thought that was fascinating on so many levels. One, the people most to blame, it's not Al Sharpton, it's not the black people boycotting Target, racist man, racist woman, racist child. And even to be honest, white people, I think they had touched on it lightly in the interview, white people, they had been reneging on these so-called DIE initiatives way before we got to Trump coming back in office. Even that would be racial narrowing to try and put this all on, oh man, it's Trump's fault and this dude came in. No man. Like, they had studies documented, very detailed, talking about white people had already been reneging on this and whittling these programs away, and they didn't even do a lot. And some of them, they didn't do anything but give out loans and what have you. It's not even like they were giving out grants or substantive change. Anywhoodles, but they get Miss Showers, April Showers, to come on, founder of Afro Unicorn, to discuss how this is potentially impacting her product that's in Target and Walmart. Shout to Jonathan Crawford III. Maybe a portion of the Walmart proceeds go to the charity for Jonathan Crawford III, maybe. Anywho, but I thought it was fascinating that NPR would bring her on and have this like, oh man, they're messing it up. I mean, really. If these black people are purchasing any of these products at Target, it would be so easy. What are the black products that they have at Target? Oh, these are the ones. Make a list. Go to the website directly, knock it out, no big deal. You could even have some signs as we're out boycotting for some of our marches. These are the black products that they have. Make sure you go get them from the website or someplace other than Target. Walmart too for John Crawford. Walmart too for John Crawford. And get it, hey, we do have a website. Go to the website. You can get it directly. It's lots of workarounds other than you all, shouldn't boycott. I guess you could do that too. You could go in and buy, but I mean, really, if I don't want to give Target my money, why can't we just go get it from the website? Anyway, NPR, so slick, and they were even so extra slick. They had a non-white reporter, Rachel Martin. She was the one that did the interview with April Showers, black female owner, proprietor of Afro Unicorn. So, right, you don't even hear a white voice in all of this, and we're grousing about black people going to boycott. I think the only white person even mentioned or alluded to was Donald Trump. Now, say on the one hand, wow, it is so astronomically easier in some respects to discuss white supremacy racism with Donald Trump in the White House. I mean, wow. We got he's been in office 1 week, and I think we got about a 15-minute segment from the press conference that is all DEI hires. You got these lame, unqualified folks that first week in office. It is so much easier. But that also has problems because that can lead to, well, yes, racism is a problem, but what is it? Of course, not all white people is racist. Cat Williams ought to take that line too, real talk. And since not all white people is racist, Trump is racist. The racists, that's it. The rest of the white people, they all right. They good. Maybe a few of them suspect, but most part they should. The Trump there, the racist right there. That is not how we got to this point at all. Not with so-called DEI or nothing else. Any hoodles. All of that to then get to, we black people boycotting and targeting. For Donald Trump to then come out this week, you have a plane crash, Reagan National Airport headed into Washington, D.C. 67 fatalities, unless I have been misinformed. One of them including the lovely Kia Duggins, black female. She was set to be a professor at Howard University. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, right? That's what we need. Lovely, educated, brilliant, young black female is going to be a professor and perished in this tragedy along with 66 others, a number of them non-white from, what I've seen. All this happens. I don't even know if they had identified Kia Duggins at the time that President Trump made that press conference. I don't even know if they've retrieved her body yet, because they haven't even retrieved all the bodies yet. He rolls out, no investigation complete, none of that. This is what happens with DIE. Come on. Like what investigation report came back and said, oh yeah, we got these old lame DIE hires. That's what we had. See, you get these old unqualified folks filling quotas and all the rest of it. And even when he got into the details, we got these old DIE hires and all the rest of it. It wasn't that you got Leroy and Lakeisha, who dropped out of kindergarten, and they're air traffic controllers and they messed all this up. That's not the issue. It was, he said that the FAA, that they got programs to bring in people who got severe disabilities. These are folks shouldn't even have been hired in the first place. Them trying to be diverse in their hiring initiatives. That's the sort of thing that I've pointed to literally for over a decade. When white people start talking about affirmative action, diversity, anything of the sort, we often, non-white people, get confused or even hopeful into thinking that that means they're going to remedy the system of white supremacy racism. If we're talking about labor, maybe they'll hire some non-white people. Maybe they'll stop mistreating the non-white people that do have a job, cleaning the toilet or whatever it is. They're talking about hiring some lesbian white person, a transgender white person, a white person with Asperger's syndrome, a white person in a wheelchair. That's what they're talking about for DIE. We're thinking, hey, I've been unemployed for 8 months. Leroy, I can get a job. Y'all gonna do some of that. Yeah, back up, Leroy. Oh, we got Pam. You got a wheelchair? Come right on it. Pam White. You got a wheelchair? You're a lesbian too? Come right on. Got the rainbow on your wheelchair? I said, come right on. We believe in diversity at the FAA. That's what they're talking about. And do all that grousing and complain. We got all these lame brain folks. And even I started paying attention. I said, okay, so we upset and we think the folks are not qualified. He said for the air traffic controllers, which they said for decades, we don't have enough of these people. This is a problem. In fact, we had talked about this so many times. They have reports before this crash even happened. Said, man, it's a wonder this sort of thing doesn't happen more often, because this has been a big problem for a long time, decades. He said, our president, we need the smartest people, naturally talented geniuses, to perform this job, air traffic controller. This is not a job for regular people. That this job is so stressful, it takes years off your life. We just can't have regular people doing this job because they can't handle it. If that is true, we need to get those bots that will be able to take over this job immediately. I'm not the smartest person in the world. President Trump certainly has access to exponentially more information than I will in 80 lifetimes. All of that said, I would hope that for this job, and really most jobs, you don't need a genius. Because from what I've been told, most people are not geniuses. Sometimes you can go to a school with 2,000 people and none of them qualify to be a genius according to white people. What I would hope you want for this job is someone with correct intentions, someone who can pass a drug test, someone who is going to do their best to be safe, effective, and efficient at this job every time they come into work. That, I think, is what you want. And someone who can be trained to do this job well. That's what you want, not geniuses, and really whatever that means. Naturally, I don't even know, like, what? A naturally talented air traffic controller with all of the precise measurements and upgrades in technology? I have no idea what that means. And even, do we have enough naturally talented air traffic controllers for this job? I mean, wow. Just, wow. I'm not in aviation. And we can go talk to some of the other folks who are in that field. But again, hopefully all this will be moot. ChatGPT and the bots and everybody can get working on this, and the bots can take over this job and do it correctly, since we've been negligent in this field for so long. But I mean, dang. This is the time we got to come out. And again, I just want to, I know we still got to get those 67 bodies recovered and identify and talk to the family, but just another try. I said this, late Paul Mooney, blame a Negro. Thank you, Paul Mooney. Another moment that we got to recognize the error of our way, really the error of that old no-count Joe Biden, Kamala, talking about some DIE initiatives. Folly, all of it. Come on, man. And even, this is the same thing I said with the firefighters. Trump was in California. We talked about that with regards to labor last week, too. Got all the convicts out there battling the blazes and such. They said, planet, drought, climate change, all that, need more firefighters. You could be training little Leroys and Lakeishas as opposed to pounding them up. Prisons, remedial classes, and special education and all the rest of it. Why don't you start funneling some of these folks into these jobs where you have glaring deficiencies? You could be cranking out firefighters and air traffic controllers. Those are good, better jobs than working at McDonald's, right? Benefits, yes, and jobs that are needed to be filled. Probably going to get worse with the silver tsunami. Why not do that? White people like this exactly the way it is. There's no way you can tell me Elon Musk and these white people, we can have private flights to Mars, leaving the planet for other white people. You can't train a few extra niggers to be air traffic, forget the air traffic control. You can't train some of these niggers to be firefighters before they get to prison? Come on, man. Come on, stop being ignorant. Stop being ignorant. Stop being ignorant, man. Any hoodles. And even he said this job, implying that being an air traffic controller is one of the most stressful jobs out there. I'm not sure if that's true. We've talked about this before in terms of job stress, because they'll say that a lot of times for police, and I don't believe that that's one of the most dangerous, stressful jobs either. All that donut time and what have you, choking out black people time, lying on paperwork time. No. I'm not sure. They would have to tell me, like, really? Air traffic, does it take years? Is that true? Does Snopes have a verdict on that? Does it take years off of your life to be an air traffic controller. And that, again, if that is true, we need to get those bots on this like yesterday. I don't know if I believe that, though. Like, man, if that is the case, they need to hire a lot more air traffic controllers. Like, what in the world? Come on. They could get cracking on that. Like, they could have apps and everything. They could have new shows on Netflix, have some spicy romances so people to be excited about this field and want to learn all that. What in the world? For Kia Duggins, have a scholarship, air traffic controller for Kia Duggins. How about that? They could have done all that. Come on, we'll cross our fingers and hope the bots get to it quickly. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943. Pound, press star 61 if you would like to participate. I saw a number of non-white people that looked like they perished. Kia Duggins is just one that, stood out. It's like, oh man, she's really pretty, and she didn't even get to teach one course. She hadn't even started yet at Howard University. Total disgrace. And she was really, really young too. Like I said, she hadn't even, total disgrace through and through. But there were a number of non-white people who perished in this collision. But Trump to then come out and do some practice white supremacy racism, and we got these old DEI hires. Anywho, and even in the press conference when they had journalists who were asking him about this, and he got nasty and said he apparently does not agree with Fuller's view, what he stated for years, no such thing as a dumb question, bad question, improper question. All questions are valid. Trump's dumb question. Next. And the fellow was trying to, he said, hush, shut up. Next. And he went and he did it again. The next before she asked the question, like, is this true? You got some DI? I'm ashamed of you for asking such a stupid question as that. Next. Damn. That's like grouchy in his old age. I do not agree with that. I think all questions are valid, especially in the workplace. Now, they can try that old nonsense in school, which really is even worse, and try and shame you and look back and, oh, I can't believe you don't know that. On the job, all questions are valid. I wouldn't care what the question is. And if it even sounds like this might be pertaining to safety, oh yes, super duper serious. All questions are valid on the job. Questions on the job, that's supposed to keep us from, now how many of these bodies do we have to fish out of the lake here? Potomac River. How many of these bodies do we have to fish out? That's what happens when you don't have enough questions asked and accurately answered. More questions. How many of these bodies do we have to fish out of the river here? What is the name of this one here? Any hoodles. Let's see. We'll nab folks who dialed in. If we have any folks that work from home, you got to get back in the office and all that, if that has impacted you, or federal employees who have been impacted by the new administration, you can let us know that as well. Let's see. What we should do? I'll do one email, and then we'll get to folks who dialed in. Let's see. Email number 1. Let's see. Okay. Last week I wrote about right-wing Ashley. Oh, I'm at the University of Washington. They're trade-offs. So I was able to go to the meeting and all that and get everything done. But I'm not at my residence. At my residence, I have home-brewed blueberry yerba mate tea, fresh squeezed blueberry juice, and it's chilled now. I was so excited to have some. I got none. And now I'm not at home, so I can't even, it would be chilled now, so I can't even have any, no tea for the broadcast. Lame Friday through and through. Especially lame, I'm complaining, could have been Kia Duggins' family, so I guess keep things in perspective. Kia Duggins. Email. Last week, I wrote about right-wing Ashley refusing to get into the office due to her ADHD. You see what I meant? There you go, right there. That's exactly what I just said. That's what they mean when they say diversity. Oh, come on in, right-wing racist. Ashley, come on in here. You got the ADHD. Ching. We get a female, and we get somebody who's got, now they call it neurodiversity. That's what they'll call it. Oh, we believe in diversity. Come on in, right-wing Ashley. We got the neurodiversity right here. Do you have any Negroes? No, we got neuro. We don't do no Negro. We got neuro diversity. Oh, right-wing Ashley right here, and I think we got Todd in the back. Where is Todd at? He has the Asperger's. Todd, are you here, Todd? He didn't come in today? He didn't come in this month. Well, Todd will be back some point, we hope. But we believe in neurodiversity. We don't believe in the Negro. Let's see. Neurodivergence being affected because of how it is decorated. I got to read that one more time. Got to wait. See, I would have took a sip of my tea, making me work hard on this. I got to get home immediately. Last week, I wrote about right-wing Ashley refusing to go into the office due to her ADHD and neurodivergence being affected because of how it is decorated. Do they have gnomes up in the office there? Do they have little Negro, Nat Turners around the office with spears all pointed at her and targeting me? They got little Al Sharpton paintings all over the office. Al Sharpton just looking at her, mean. Hey, come on. In response to your question, yes, she refused for a solid 6 months. I'm assuming she had a note from her doctor, but who knows? On the other hand, was on the receiving end of Shauna's wrath and hostility when I needed to work from home due to my ankle injury. See, that's what I said too about the white defiance. So are we for real? Like we're gonna enforce this? You all say you got to come in the office, you got to have a doctor's note, no exceptions, or is this going to be wink, wink? Leroy had better not work from home. Lakeisha had better not work from home. But right wing, oh, go on, don't even worry about it. Like what? If that's what they're going to do, then the folks that we heard, the white people, they got their property in Baltimore and all that, man, keep chilling, man. Get your season tickets and hope Mar Jackson and them get it right for next season. Go Ravens! Woo! Let's see. Number 2, Zoe and I have given her verbal and written direction on our respective projects that she has ignored on several occasions. When challenged, she claims to have made an error or that she was intending to what we've asked, even when it's clear she's lying. What makes it worse is that her mistakes are so visible and it takes time and energy clearing up the mess she's caused. And white people, again, they like it like this. And whose time does it end up wasting? Because they love this on the job. Who has to come and clean up the mess? See there? They love to waste our time. And you could really save a lot of time. How about stop hiring these old incompetent white people and just give us a few extra nickels, us being the non-white overqualified workers? Let's see. 3, the poor attention to detail means I cannot trust the work she does, so I literally have to check everything. Time and energy. And the quality of her work is poor and sloppy because her focus is elsewhere. See, that's that neurodiversity. She volunteers for extra projects. For example, organizing the division's away day, which helps to raise her profile. This would be fine if she was on top of her day job and the quality of her work is to the expected standard. 4, she also requires constant reassurance, which we end up doing after she's messed up because she has willfully ignored an instruction. That, right, really all of this, but that's specifically, number 4, the reassurance. You have to go, oh, okay, it's all right, there, come on, head up, you're still a smart, what is it from the head? You is smart, you is kind, you is intelligent. All of that is delectable Negro human consumption and homoeroticism in U.S., really, global system of white supremacy culture. Like, what in the world? You have to go and do all this patting on the back. You are a white woman. Act like, get your act together. Like, are you serious? Come on, man. Especially, why didn't you just listen to begin with? We wouldn't even be here. Is this some of that? Now, you niggas don't tell me what to do. I don't care what I met. You don't tell me what to do. I'm going to work on the away day project anyway. And then to come and get these, and this is even one of those. So if it was all white people on the team, if she, our victim writer, if she wasn't here, if it was all white people, would it be the same dynamic? You ignore us and we tell you, you know, give you corrections or suggestions on things to help the project along. You ignore all that. And then when it flops, we have to come waste time and energy correcting your errors. And then, oh, we got to console and soothe and rub you. Are you serious? I don't know. That is a major aspect of white supremacy racism. We have to do a lot of, and sometimes it's not even workplace soothing. It'll be, you know, my husband, you know, ran off with the secretary and I don't know what to do and he wants me to have a threesome and what do you think? That sort of thing. And they want you to, there. Just tell him no. It's okay. Like, man. Number 5. These issues are not new. Zoe and I discussed the feedback she would give right-wing Ashley in her performance review. We were aligned on the areas for her improvement. The meeting didn't go well. Shauna told me that right-wing Ashley blamed Zoe for the drop in her performance over the quarter because Zoe gave her feedback, which she said knocked her confidence. See, you didn't give me, you're supposed to pat me on the back and you didn't buck me up. Zoe was upset. A case of white-on-white crime, but that's where it should be. Right on. 6. Zoe did joke that I could take over line management of right-wing Ashley. I told her no. Excellent. Man, please. Please. Now, see, there's at least one white person involved. That's what I'm saying. So if our writer was not involved, if it was all white people, would it be the same dynamic? Because I just can't imagine otherwise. Zoe is behaving like a white woman. I would expect, like, are you serious? Get your act together. Are you serious? It's my fault? It's my fault because I knocked your confidence? Man, if you don't get your white behind together, that's the way I would expect a white woman to respond or a white man to respond. All this carrying on, if it was exclusively white people, this is what you would expect us to do? I don't know, man. Let's see. 7. There are no excuses for the poor work. Right-wing Ashley has been part of a project to test how the Microsoft Copilot AI tool can help our work. The version she has is an enhanced package to assist with her dyslexia. So there's no excuse for the poor quality work. You see how white people can hire all of these old lame folks. Remember a fella at the courthouse in Florida where he said, my dude, my spirit sick white brother, he said folks say he is unprofessional and he doesn't know how to talk to people. How did he get hired for this job anyway? That's what they say about me, white people, and my black brothers and sisters. They don't look out for me for nothing. It is not, well, Brother Gus is unprofessional, doesn't know how to talk to people, does poor quality work, but we still going to see if we can hook him up, get him a job here and there, look out for him, get him a good resume. That's not what they do. You get all these lame, unqualified white people. White people will hook them up. And even once they get on the job and they find out, like, dang, Ashley does she even know how to type? They don't get fired. They don't even get transferred. Didn't come in for 6 months and what happened? Nothing. Let's see. 8. Not only can she use it to assist her writing, this is the AI tool, also summarizes emails and team messages in addition to recording meeting discussions. Like, for real, in about 5 years, we can just hire the AI. We really do not need. What does she do? What's her contribution? Stealing petty cash? None. I wasn't aware of this until right-wing Ashley presented the Copilot project at our divisional meeting. I was surprised, but I'm always on code with her. Excellent. And even that, like, dang, Why isn't it that the most productive members of the team, the people who are always here on time, contributing in a constructive manner, why don't they get the latest technology so we can see how we can streamline and make them even more efficient workers? Nah, we go and find the lame, shiftless, lollygagging white people who don't even do work anyway, and say, well, we'll go hook them up. Black people working hard every day? What kind of system of white supremacy racism? And then they'll justify it too and say, well, she's got the dyslexia and, we want to help her out as much as we can. She doesn't even come into work some days. Is the AI, is that going to help get her out of bed and get her out of her footy so she can come to office? Well, one step at a time. Number to dial, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Incidentally, I would document anything like that. They allow a white person to stay at home for 6 months. Document all of that. So you do make exceptions to the rule. Duly noted. Name, date, time, all of that. So you can do the same thing for me. If circumstances warrant. Yes? Question lane. Document all of that. Folks who dialed in with a hand up, see if we have any federal employees as well. Hand up should be with us.
Hello?
Greetings.
Hi. I sent you an email earlier about the Netflix documentary about the OJ case. And yeah, I was just wondering, if you could briefly, I guess, give your thoughts. I don't know if you've seen it. It's not worth watching, and obviously Jeffrey Toobin is in it, and it's just, it's the same old mainstream media propaganda. But I guess my question is, since we know how corrupt and racist the LAPD is, I guess why do so many non-white people seem to not want to believe that the LAPD planted evidence in that case? And that's my question.
I did respond to your email. I'm not sure if you got it, but I did take time to reply. I guess go back and check your email. I guess if you did not get the response, then you can feel free to drop me an email and I will forward it back to you again. But I'm not sure. Is this is this your first time dialing in? Maybe she vanished. Oh well. Not sure if she's dialed in before or not, but again, for this broadcast, this is exclusively dealing with labor, neutralizing workplace racism. The broadcast for tomorrow, compensatory call-in, that is the program. Something like this, TV, Netflix, we might not solve this problem unless they get counter-racism on Netflix. If they do not get counter-racism on Netflix, we might be hurting for a few more centuries, it seems. Anyway, this is not the program for TV, Netflix, really anything other than labor. We're just talking about labor strategies, counter-racist suggestions for things that we can do to solve problems in the workplace. I hope, I might be ignorant, but I hope more non-white people spend more time on average per week at work than they do watching TV. I could be wrong, but I hope that's the case, and it seems that a lot of non-white people have difficulties in the workplace. So that's what this broadcast is about exclusively. All other topic, subject matter, compensatory call-in tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, grand time. Anything not related to labor, that is when we'll chat that up and LAPD was just talking about them while I was in Los Angeles. Pour a little. I don't even have my tea. I was going to pour a teaspoon out for Rodney King. I don't even have my tea to pour some out. We miss you, Rodney. Anywho, much obliged. Check your email because I did respond to all of that. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in, if you have commentary to share, proceed.
Can I be heard?
Bay Area Mom? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for taking my call. Greetings to you all. So, no, I don't get the joy of working from home, and I don't do I don't do any kind of government or federal job. And the people that I know that do those, they don't even like them. They just do it for whatever because I think they believe it's the benefits and it's a forever gig. And the people that I know that do that, they're not even employed. And now with that home stuff, but I did have one that worked for IRS. Well, I still do. I know someone that works for IRS, and she started working from home. So she's been working from home for all this time. But now they're telling her she's got to at least come in a day, 1 or 2 days a week. So she has to. She lives. Let's say she lives in Stockton, so she'll have to just get to Oakland for a couple of days a week. So they kind of changed that up. But my workplace racism. So I wanted to do two, but I think I'm just going to do one. It was so the trans gentleman that goes by Miss. So she teaches, and it's still complicated for me to with the he/she stuff because it's still complicated. But I try not to even talk, so I don't have to get into all that. It's still complicated for me. So she teaches. She only works the regular schedule. She doesn't stay like me till 6. She leaves at maybe 4:45. She started an art class in the area that she has after school. I think she wanted to actually be an art teacher at the school, but there's no art class. I think it would be a little more complicated for her to be an art teacher right now because they haven't whipped everyone into shape about accepting all this different stuff with men looking like men that want to be women, because there's three gentlemen that are there that look like men, but they want to be called Miss. There's one that's even real strong and big and bulky, and this gentleman, Caucasian, wants to be called Miss and dyed their hair blonde. Maybe that's something as well. But it's real confusing to the children because they don't even know what to do, what to say. What's the teacher now? I don't know. And there's one guy, one of the teachers with, we'll call it Miss L. So Miss L, she hadn't been there. She's a substitute. She came to help with this one little boy in a wheelchair now. And he's just doing so. She touched him or did something. He just punched her in the chest. Blam, blam. It's like, whoa. So we don't know what to do with that. So the trans gentleman that is teaching this art class after school is teaching it for transitional kindergartners and kindergartners after school. So the rest of the adults in there have to force the children to become interested in this because they're really not interested. And he's got Picasso painting and just all kind of stuff that's totally over the children's head. So, or she, sorry. So, the guy is prepped. So when you're supposed to go outside, this gentleman is prepping inside. So she's supposed to be outside helping with the children, but she's inside prepping for this program that she's only going to participate in. So let's say it starts at 4:30 this art class. She's leaving at 4:45. So you got to clean it up, wrap it up, and everything else. And it's a whole mess. And then so they were just like, well, can you help us
to clean up and, with these kids, like, outside. Well, I'm prepping. Well, can you just prep one day? How much prep? You have to prep every day for kindergartners to scribble level? So I'm prepping. It's going to get worse when they start using packed-down colors and oil colors and just all this stuff, and it just became a big argument. So this gentleman is another white lady. She's older, like maybe in her 60s, and she works the after-school program only, but she starts at like maybe 1 and gets off at 6, and so she transitions to kindergartners and TKs and all that stuff into her setting. So she's in TK too. So now she's getting upset because she's got to clean the hands. It takes her a long time to wash the hands, wash all this paint and stuff off the hands, and this person is going, oh, well, I gotta go, and this is just a big mess. So it's not even over until 5 o'clock. So you stay. So they end up complaining to the director. First, we thought we could, just talk with each other. That didn't work. It turned into a big deal. And so one of the gentlemen, the little young gentleman that works with me that I may speak of, he's telling me about it. He's like, oh my God, this is crazy. So we're just trying to ask this lady what I was stating. And so I said, well, you might have to talk to the directors of the after-school program. And then he said, well, we talked to the case manager that we work with. He's like, I talked to her, and she said, well, maybe you should do this, and gave him some advice on how to speak with this person. And then he had to go back and say, that didn't work. That didn't work. This person spun off on me and told me, no, they're not doing this. And I said, that's interesting, because this is allegedly a white female. But I don't know, it just made me think, so when white men decide that they don't want to be men anymore, when they assert authority, are they white men or white women? I don't know, but I notice regardless of what gender he claims, he still asserts his power. So with him being whatever the LGBT, anti-sexual, with him being a part of that community, it's like that gives you an umbrella, maybe not an umbrella, that gives you a cover that kind of protects you. Because if anyone says anything against you, you just go back into, oh, this guy is bullying me into staying with my art program and making me clean up and making me do this and just picking at me. So they end up going to the director of the after-school program, and both directors, the assistant and the head director, and the director came and talked to, because the lady, the trans gentleman had already left because she leaves at before 5 o'clock on the nose. Just spinning. Bye, see you later. And so that was yesterday. So, or the day before yesterday. So yesterday, now this person won't even stay. Didn't do any of the art program. Didn't stay. Now, they were in the office speaking with one of the directors, the trans gentleman, and the staff that's really concerned about this. They ran the program. They ran the program, showed how it should be run, and it worked out, and they had time to spare to clean up. And it was wrapped up just to show that this lady can do it as well. So the lady didn't even want to participate. I've got to go. I can't take this. I've got to go. Yeah. Yeah. And then the lady sounds, it's a harsh, remember, in Living Color, and Jim Carrey was the little lady with the two ponytails. So that's how she sounds. And it's confusing because now the children are really calling her he. So one of the first graders was walking yesterday and today, and when the first grader sees, I'm wondering, because he used to sit, remember I said that the principal had to tell this guy to stop filling in his little boy hair because he's going to need to be to sleep. He needs to go to class, get ready for class, not bed. So this little boy, that same little boy, when he sees this man, he calls him he,
And he said, "Oh, Miss Judge." So that's what the child does. Another child got in trouble for saying that he was a man, like in trouble. Like, so the kids are now getting in trouble because you're confusing them with all this gender stuff, and they're in trouble for being curious about what's going on. So this little boy got in so much trouble, he's uncomfortable now working with this gentleman. So today, when that man came up, when she came in, the little boy, I'm in the office, she comes in, the little boy, because I'm waiting on someone else to get him from me so I can go start my day. So he's, oh no! Oh my God, all right. It's him! I'm like, was she? Is she? Okay, was she, he? It's fine, they'll leave it. So, oh no! So I'm sure it bothers this person. And this person is the same person that on the first day of work said that he had, you start off, how are you? How have you been over the summer? Oh, depressed, suicidal, I'm glad to be back at work. So you got depressed, suicidal, all these emotions in these people. And they're teaching your children with born trauma. Children born with trauma. Born with trauma in the womb. And you got these people teaching, and then the frustration, there's a frustration that this trans gentleman has with the children in the classroom that I noticed, because when I'm watching this teacher, or this person, because this person will lead groups and tables, sections in the classroom, the frustration, you can tell immediately there's a frustration, especially because there's a lot of black children in there too. So the frustration with the black boys, sometimes they play around and stuff, but the frustration that this person has with the children, I'm starting to notice it. So it just makes me concerned about the people that we have allegedly educating these children, in particularly children that are not classified as white, because their schools, those white schools, are totally infested with transgenders and people like that are forcing you to accept and acknowledge this anti-sexual culture, like in our schools. So, the little boy. So we had a meeting today after school about the little boy that's in the room. So, I needed, because I deal with all this stuff differently. I don't need this child pacified. I need him to be able to survive on his own when he's older. I just don't understand what's the point. We're not just housing them in there. It's not a daycare. So I spoke with the BCBA. We had a meeting. Allegedly, one of the little kids, the first grader that I have to change, they're complaining about him in general A class and kicking him out. So singling him out. They say he's screaming, but there's other. It's not just him. There's the whole class is there's full of IEP. So it's not just him, but he's being singled out. So we talked about that and put together something for that. The little boy in the closet, I'm tightening up his structure even more, because he shouldn't be free to have everything he wants, just free to roam, free to be everything he wants. He takes it and takes it home, and if you give it to him, if you don't give it to him, he'll have a behavior or attitude and start kicking and screaming, so you just give it to him to shut him up. No, we're not doing any of that. So I'm not trying to call shots or trying to run the program, but I spend the most time with the child, and what I'm about is different. So we did a couple of things, and so the girl, I told the BCBA that when he gets mad and starts destroying property, she'll take him, and then, okay, come on, let's get in your hammock. Come on, let's get in your hammock. Here's my phone. You can watch this, get in the hammock. No. Don't baby him. Remove some of this stuff. He can't have behavior to get mad because he doesn't get what he wants, and then you go get the hammock, give him some chips. He's eating chips, endless chips, and whatever else you got going on. and popcorn or whatever, and he's just chilling in the hammock. No, no, no. And he's not going to leave campus because he takes his shoes off as soon as he gets there. So we're not babysitting him. We're helping him. We're educating him, and he's going home. So I know it was a little intense for everyone, but we all must be on one accord if we're helping these children. And there was a slew of behaviors today. Everybody screaming, hollering up and down. It's just so sad to see how many children have so many issues and trauma. I wasn't listening in on. I wasn't listening. I just went to the speech or went to the behavior area room because I'm welcome. So I'm in there just to take a break. Then I had to leave because I'm listening to a parent explain how, because she was so depressed, she was so stressed out. She had her children at 4 months old. I mean, when she was 4 months pregnant, twins. They're in kindergarten, jumping all over the place. Just all these behaviors. It's starting when you conceive. And you're carrying all the stress and trauma. And then you give birth to these children. And then they're in the schools jumping through the walls. These little boys are, I think, in kindergarten. So painful. But they get on everybody's nerve, but nobody is looking at how they got here. So you can't get that frustrated with them. And I don't mean to sound so frustrated, but I do get frustrated because we're getting too frustrated with these children that didn't have to be here. And nobody's looking at why the behaviors are occurring. These children have been through things we haven't been through as adults. And no one wants to look at, we get so frustrated. So, thank you for taking my call. I will be by line.
Leroy will frustrate you. Much obliged, Bay Area Mom. Man, you get a whole room of Leroy and Lakeisha, and boy, they will pluck your nerves, buddy. Woo! Does anybody have patience with? I see you say that patient with black people, patient with black children. Woo, man! I used to say that. I worked with black children, school system and beyond. I remember being in the school system at one specific point. We were working with children, special needs population, lots of black children. They were talking about a client. She had an outburst. Now, nothing violent. She didn't smack anybody. No injury. She didn't injure herself. She didn't injure another client. She didn't injure staff, shouting, that sort of thing. And she was, we'll say 12, just sake of art, 12. So, I mean, we're not talking about like a 17-year-old or somebody really big who could have done, some real damage or major property damage or injured somewhat. None of the above. None of the above. And this was a client, victim of racism, that said, this is, client that I enjoy working with. Normally she's in good space and, grand time. She didn't have a whole lot of problems or whatever, and right on. And so a white staff member came over on this day when this client did have a behavioral outburst. She said, what do you think now? She's still cool to work with? I said, yeah, like what? One, she's 12. She is supposed to have these sort of problems, and most days she does not. My problem with this job and what tries my patience is you all, and that's almost the way that I said it too, you are not supposed to have behavioral problems. That's what I end up having, is the staff end up coming in here and acting a fool. Like, am I supposed to have a behavioral plan on you too? Months later, she came back and co-signed on what I said, but that is another discussion. But boy, Leroy's got on my nerves, and I'm gonna kill that Leroy. Like, dang, Leroy is 12. What do you mean you gonna kill Leroy? Jeez. Anywho, Of course, she is not in the group that can be at home or has at any point during COVID or what have you just, I'm going to chill, I'm going to stay home and do my thing and come in when I feel like it or what have you. She said, one, you have to, that some of the folks, I guess, they have to come in from Stockton all the way down to Oakland. Like, that is kind of a commute. That's the kind of thing that I was talking about. That's kind of a trek. And I know this because I was looking at going to Sacramento, Stockton, some of the outskirts in Northern California while I was down there. That is kind of a, especially if you don't have a vehicle, and even the traffic can come in there too. So let's see. The confusion, all of that, once again, is this the best we can do in 2025? Non-white people producing children, this is what you're going to send your child off to? This still the best we can do? We don't have a better plan? Just a question. I don't have offspring. Just asking. All that word again, confusion. They got all these children. They come and they got eyeballs. They can see. Like, oh wow, is he? What? Matter of fact, she had told us before. She said, as a white person, I think it was a white man, and they were doing some sort of transition and surgery and hormones and all this to a female, but they still had facial hair. And so they would wear like the COVID-19 face mask or what have you, but it was not because they had some sort of concern about respiratory issues or whatever. It was to cover up the stubble, still having the facial hair and all that. And children can see all of this. It's like, oh my God, and they're responding like, what is going, what? Say hello, that is logical. That might cause, again, that word, confusion. Especially if I'm seeing all this transition like live time. Like what? She said the children get in trouble for the response. Like, are you serious? These are already children with special needs. Many of them, they are, maybe all of them. They already got educational programs and got to do this, got to do that. And oh my goodness. And way behind their peers in terms of where they should be, reading comprehension and all the rest of it. And as opposed to correcting these problems, now, you didn't use the correct pronouns. Now, you're not respecting. They have LGBTQ rights. And like, are you serious? I don't even know what any of that is. I just know I'm confused. Like, oh my goodness, what? You said that this was Tim last week, and now it's Tina, and what? Like, come on. And again, now, is this the best we can do? Pack our children up and send them off to this? Confused. Matter of fact, she had told us before. She said they're in California, so Kamala Harris. She said that Bay Area mom. She said that they had the gay pride celebrations and all of that, which they have here in Seattle and many other parts of the world. She said they were having that in the school, and for most of those type celebrations, Black History Month next month and the rest of it, you can opt out. If parents, for whatever reason, don't want their child to be a part of it, you can sign the slip or whatever, and, they can sit off in the corner, study break, whatever. It seemed like oh no, you had better, be here and excited. Lots of enthusiasm about the gay pride and all the rest of it, and we got the rainbow costumes and all. Like, what? And like it was a problem. Like, what? You don't want to be a part of? Might be trouble. Gay pride coming around for 2025, so have that on the radar. And she said these, the instructors I'm talking about, she said that they're white. Now, if you say something, if you respond to how they're, behaving with these children and talking about all of it, or, you got to be pressured into being a part of the gay pride festivities and all the rest of it. Oh, man, you're bullying me, and you're being a homophobe, and blah, 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 and all the rest of white power. That P word again, white power. And that's what I said, too. the diversity and all the rest of it. That's what they mean about it. See, I'm diverse. We're diverse. We have LGBTQ white people and maybe some white people on a wheelchair and some elderly white people. All different types, see? With all of that, now, whew, that is so challenging for the workplace because I'm sitting here processing like they have more patience and more of a code in place for how you deal with other staff. Because she's talked about other staff getting in trouble. And, I think she even said that they were trying to get her in trouble and saying, you're not using the correct pronouns. And, you're being a homophobe. We're going to get you, Bay Area Mom. See? Like, what? Do what? Yes, you're not using my correct pronouns. I already told you I'm not a he anymore. That's the wrong pronoun, and I'm going to write you up for that. They got more of a program in place and punitive too, like you better abide, than they do for these children. Like, okay, we got all the correct pronouns. And hey, I'm with that. Fuller says the same thing. Call people what they want to be called. And I think Bay Area Mom told it, no problem. I got no problem with that. But dang, if we can get this much of a program together for all of our white LGBTQ brothers and sisters and intersex beings, what we going to do about Leroy in the hammock? We going to let him eat chips all day? That's the same question. That's the best we can do? That is a disgrace. You see the food again, delectable nigger. This is the same state. No more red dye number 40. Now, they got so many colors, I might have messed up my number, but I think it's red dye number 40 that they just got rid of. They said it's people like the folks she just mentioned. Little children mess up their brain computer even more. They already got problems. We already got them stuffed in the closet. Double entendre. Why do we need to add on top of that by stuffing Cheetos and Flamin' Hots and all the rest of that down them all day long and soda pop and all the rest of potato chips and all this other nonsense? Like, come on. Again, they're in California, man. They could have been, hey, they're not even in L.A. They could have went to Berkeley Bowl easily. That's way closer than Stockton. They could have went to Berkeley Bowl Farmers Market and probably got vouchers to do so. Support local farmers. Win, win, win. I said triple because that's win for the students and the farmers. Win, win, win. We don't need chips. None of that. Get some oranges. Get some grapefruits. Man, I got them pomegranates on down. They could have had the whole gambit. Get some grapes, whatever. Fresh fruits, some water, all that. Nah. Eat craziness in a hammock. I have a hammock to go out to the beach, man. Why do you have a hammock at school, man? Going to sleep? Come on. Total disgrace in every. Once again, if you can be a parent, is this the best that we can do? And then turn around and get frustrated with the children. I've been saying that for years. Like, they don't seem very patient. Like, these are special needs children. Wouldn't it be like extra patience? Like, these are going to be staff that are just, oh, wow. They are just so gentle and calm. It's the exact opposite. And in fact, you got to be gentle with the staff. Well, hormone therapy's a little off. Gina, sorry, I'm getting it. Gina's beard is in today. They're a little sensitive about that. Let's all be supportive of Gina today. Like, what? When you play around with sex, this is the environment for your black child. Much obliged, Bay Area Mom. Everybody is frustrated with black people. Black males, black females, black children. Oof. Leroy is 11. Leroy. He's 11. Wait a minute. He came to the... Anywho, much obliged. The number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943 # press star 61 if you would like to participate. Again, Black History Month forthcoming. Be prepared. Most of it is just expecting, so we're not stunned, snide remarks, racist remarks. Even I said, if they make any sort of offers, like they want to have some sort of program, I don't know, come tell us about Sojourner Truth or George Washington Carver or anything. Not stunned, no thank you. And it would be no thank you even if I worked with exclusively black people born in this part of the world. It would still be no. My explanation, I did not come to this job. My description for my work duties does not include discussing Black History Month, racism, counter-racism. None of the above. I've never seen where any person classified as black in particular, them being asked to participate in any of these types of projects, something constructive happened. They got a raise. They got a promotion, a pat on the head, a Starbucks gift card for $2. Like nothing. In fact, I've seen where sometimes it went the other direction, where somebody got upset, a white person, whatever the case may be. I said, even if you work with everyone and they're classified as black, even then, you should not assume that we're all going to be on one accord about racism, or particularly is some topic related to Black History Month. How do you even know that all of these individuals here are classified as black and born in this part of the world? That might not even be the case. No, let's stick to the job, whatever we're supposed to do, whatever we need to do that's going to get a raise. Again, I've never seen where this comes up in a performance evaluation or review, and that's the deciding factor. Like a young lady in Georgia, she said she was right on the threshold for getting a raise. They didn't come in and say, well, we were going back and forth about whether or not to give you this $10,000 raise. And we remember you just did an exceptional job. You told us so much about Mahalia Jackson and James Foreman, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, Ella Baker, and we just learned so much. Daisy Bates and the First Lady of Little Rock, we learned so much information. You just bowled us over. We went ahead and said that was enough. We decided to give you the raise. That's not what she told us, and I've never heard that from anybody else. None of these, like I said, I can't think of the other side, where it ended up being a waste of time, conflict, problems, all kinds of things, all the non-constructive things, wasting time things. I can think of lots of those. If we got anybody that's an anomaly where you did get a raise, bonus, sandwich, they gave you a gift card to Golden Corral, shout to Z, let us know. But I've never heard that before. Never. Even, matter of fact, I can't even think of where somebody said where, I made a friend from one of these, and I heard about some constructive literature to check out, anything of that nature, a good Netflix special that was mentioned. None of the above. Let us know if you got the, exception to the rule. Any hoodles, I mentioned it before, making sure, so we'll be here tomorrow, compensatory call, and hopefully I'll be at the residence. I'll have my tea, and then we'll be here on Sunday as well. Same broadcast time for both days, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, per usual. We'll catch up on what's transpired the last 7 days. Tomorrow, which I reckon will include some of the Kia Duggan. We'll include a little bit on the crash, and certainly there were many other things that took place the last 7 days. And then Sunday, we will catch up suspected rapist, suspected racist, Roger Golubski. We will get more details on what in the world has been going on in Kansas. Shout to Obeezy's white mother. But that'll be Sunday, normal broadcast time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I will say I'm a little disgruntled. I wanted to discuss Roger Golubski at the same time with the Super Bowl, because he was probably a Pat Mahomes fan too. Sad that he missed out on the big game. Can't get everything you want, so we'll have to be 1 week early. If I'd had my wish, we'd have been doing this 1 week later, so we could watch Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts get down and see who's going to get the crown. But, oh well. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Roger Golubsky, and then tomorrow, compensatory call in 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. Maybe even make time, see if we can get to the question about old Orenthal James, one of my favorite subject matter, and maybe even Black History Month. How about that? They can bring up, is this our first Black History Month? I think OJ had passed at the beginning part of last year, so this might be our second Black History Month without Orenthal James. We'll make time tomorrow. Any hoodles. Folks, thoughts, observations, we'll give 5 minutes if they have additional observations, thoughts to share. Again, if we have any federal folks impacted by the return to work mandates that have been cropping up throughout the land, let us know if you are in that number or if you're even seeing how that's impacting, the wherewithal on your job. We're also hearing, slowly how AI is encroaching on a number of different people's jobs. That is for sure one I am super interested. Like, if you have to write, if you just listen to the archives and you don't normally call in, write it down. untiljustice@gmail.com. Are you working in, I wouldn't care what the job, your custodial staff, cafeteria, whatever, ride share, and you're seeing like, oh man, now we're learning, using AI for this, or, but how exactly is it being used? Let us know, and or even beyond. Are you seeing, are you in one of those jobs where we are on the clock. I got this job now, but in 5 years, I will not have this job, or 10 years, or whatever it is. Let us know. Again, I would encourage, if you're a victim of racism anywhere in the known universe, that's the sort of thing that you should be aware of. Could be having massive impacts, even if you're not losing your job. Just the technological impact on how you do your present work might change radically over the next year, 2 years, whatever it is. So let us know and be abreast. All of those changes, coincidentally or not coincidentally, I would suspect would probably change policy and procedure as well on your job. So that's just, always be looking out, updates, making sure they haven't pulled an update or added a few new rules, regulations, and just put it in an email or something and didn't make a big to-do about it. Check that policy and procedure. That can be extremely critical to minimizing confusion in the workplace, having correct expectations, and just being aware that, I know what policy and procedure is and it's not being followed. That is extremely important to know as well. Let's see. Folks have additional thoughts to share. Check, make sure I didn't miss any of the emails as well. Okay, got that. Bang. Cross that out. Let's see. Okay, make sure. Did not miss any emails. I do not remember any of our listeners chiming in to say that they work on a job or have anything affiliated with diversity or anything like that in their workplace. If we do have any C.O.W.S listeners, same thing. You just listen to the archives or whatever it is. Man, let us know. Do you work one of those jobs where they're talking about trying to get you all to resign or be fired or put on paid leave or anything of that nature? If we do have anybody, if you work one of those jobs, I'd feel some type of way if you've been listening for some time and haven't dropped us a line. Like, you could be anonymous, all that. We don't have to give out your email, anything of the sort. But, man, do we have any folks who are in that position? Because I would love to know the details, what you can share, right, without publicizing yourself. But let us know what have they been saying. Do you fear you're not going to have a job? If anything, that would be another reminder, what we talked about before. Even if I have never heard anybody say, no non-white person say that their dream job, as they say, was something related to so-called diversity. Man, even if you get that job, as long as we're in the system of racism, white supremacy, you could be cardboard box fired in the next 5 minutes. That's why, all about squirrel those coins away. Save. I wouldn't care if you make millions of dollars per week. Said that what that should mean is you should have lots of uncashed checks. You got direct deposit, that means you got lots of commas in your bank account. Lots, not lots of spending sprees, and I'm going to go out and get this and buy it. And I don't do no shopping sprees, zero. I don't do no zeros, but the bank account. Commas and zeros, that's what I track. I just look at my bank, commas and zeros. So if I get fired tomorrow, I got a little bit of time. I just look at that bank account and say, okay, I got some commas and zeros. I will not be starving and trying to steal sardines in the next 5 days if I should get thrown out tomorrow, which could happen. You never know. That right there. Imagine, folks, DEI, you've been big spending, making it rain, going out and buying up everything on Amazon every day, and now, what we gonna do? That could be any of us. As long as the system of white supremacy exists. Frugal. And you should explain it to your offspring in just that manner. I could be fired today. But you, the president, I could be fired today. You see how they did Obama? Any hoodles. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in. Let's see. Our caller at the courthouse in Florida. Are the gnomes still hanging out at the courthouse like Christmas is over? I'm big time opposed to people allowing the Christmas decorations to malinger on, because it's like February now, right? Are the gnomes still terrorizing black people at the courthouse?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Right on, right on.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. And Gus, I'm glad you asked about the gnomes, because one of the white women that are a part of the white office clique, and I just think this an act of racism, because they went into excess with these gnomes, and see now they have the albino tree that's on the table where another white woman sat, that tree. So the white woman that wore the FAMU shirt, she came out with another gnome, or two gnomes, with red hearts, I guess supposed to go along with Valentine's coming up. I think with the red and the pink and everything, and she showed it to a black person, a victim of racism, and she went out the front entrance and went to that same front counter in official records, and the way she set these gnomes up, it's at least like 5 to 8 gnomes, and they're all in, it's like a linear setting from where she's seated all the way down to where a black person is seated, and they're all in this row the way that she has it set up. That occurred last week, so I guess they've been doing this thing with these gnomes. Maybe they'll have something St. Patrick's Day, I guess, or some kind of color scheme with that green. There was a third white woman who started with the white albino tree. I noticed the office where she, and this is the same person that was laying down on the yoga mat, okay, she had another tree that was positioned on a shelf where she works at, okay? And to segue into talking about, there was another issue where this white woman, I guess, was not satisfied with the keyboard that she had, I guess the standardized keyboard that we get. And she wanted to request another keyboard that's, I guess, suits her needs, and I guess her fingernails, I guess, doesn't allow her to type well or whatever, you know. So I guess the offer was, or the request was rejected. So I hear that this white woman went and purchased a keyboard, some kind of light-up keyboard, and she brought it into the courthouse, and actually had, I think, someone in IT set it up. So a black person asked about, hey, can I get one of these? Can I get one of these kind of keyboards? So she was told no as well, and a black person, a black male in the civil area, went and said to this white woman that you have to get rid of that. But my thing is, I'm thinking of it like, man, if no one had mentioned anything, I'm thinking, would she have been allowed to keep that? I'm thinking so, but that's how I wrote it down. So that white woman is walking around grumpy, upset looking, and I think she's been having an issue with a black female, that same black female, in the area of probate. So a lot of conflict going on there. And I also wanted to share the unconscious bias portion of the passport training. I came to a realization that they were using that word, and how I mentioned they used the term automatic assumptions. They kept repeating that word. Well, everyone has automatic assumptions, and it's nothing. It doesn't make us good or bad. It just means that we're human. I found that going into a lot of confusion, and they didn't define it as well. They didn't give a definition, but they kept making these scenarios and making it to where you would have to type something in, but it didn't seem like if you type something, you would be answering a question correctly or incorrectly, like multiple choice. You have to do this with a passport book or a passport card. Okay, you got this wrong. You have to take the quiz again. They're using the term expert opinion. Well, you can type your response in. What do you think about this family? So they have a white family. They have a white man, a white woman, and 2 white children. Okay, what do you think about this family? What do your automatic assumptions say? And I have no idea what that really means. And I actually typed that in. I said, this is causing me to I typed that in, and the response was, well, the expert opinion is that these could be 2 siblings, or it could be 2 friends that know each other, or it could be a husband and wife, and they get into all of that kind of detail. And it's like, it's making me think, are they trying to get you into thinking that way when helping a customer? And I just thought about the LGBT and the gender situation as well, how they talk about that. But they didn't really directly, of course, speak about racism as well. They use words like national origin, how Tony thought someone Nigerian was a part of a scam or a scheme, so he didn't want to accept the person from Nigeria their application because of some kind of scam going on in Nigeria or something. But they didn't say racism, white supremacy, obviously, but that's the way that was expressed in the unconscious bias part of the passport training. And I just have just one last one I'd like to share. I think the main person, the top person, I think might be involved with somebody non-white, and I know that may not be work related, but that could be a situation where he may be trying to keep that away from the white people, the other white people, and the staff. And it seems like it's a lot of white people talking about that, and it looks like he got someone from somewhere else, and he tends to kind of seclude himself away from everyone at times, and it's just of course a big mess with the white clique women at the courthouse. And that's all I have to share right now. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
I clicked the wrong sound effect. I hit the piano instead of the L. Gotta get right. Much obliged, our caller at the courthouse. You see, they got the ongoing weaponization of the gnomes. Racist woman, racist man, racist child. They weaponize everything. All of the religions, everything that's on television, the board games, the food, everything. Even the gnomes. We're going to weaponize them too. And she brought in new gnomes for Valentine's Day. You gonna I thought the woman with the FAMU shirt, she might bring in some Black History Month gnomes. They'll have peanuts and watermelon maybe. She'll put them up front with the albino Christmas tree, make it extra tacky. But even no decorations, no celebrations, I wouldn't do none of that either. Even if they did bring in some non-tacky Black History Month decorations, I don't know what that would be. But let's say that exists. No, thank you. No, thank you. I just take pictures, whatever they put up, I take pictures of it and keep it moving. But he said they brought in the gnomes' hearts. Doesn't get any better than tacky. Might even put the little albino white babies up too. They put that next to the tree for Valentine's Day. Let's see. We get the keyboard. Now that is fascinating. He said it started with a white woman. She made a request for this special keyboard, whatever, her fingernails are too long or whatever. I know they got those ergonomic keyboards so you can have better posture and won't have all those wrist problems and carpal tunnel and all that excellent investment. But it didn't sound like she had something else, like some vanity issues and fingernails or whatever. So they denied her request. She goes out and gets her own personal keyboard and has the IT people install it. Dang. I personally would not recommend that at all. I think it's exactly what we see here. I think that's asking for trouble and problems for a variety of reasons. Even if you got this item for free, let's say, somebody who works at the factory, so let's say she didn't have to pay anything for it. Okay. You bring it in. Am I going to so now this is my property. Am I going to bring this property in and leave it here? Do I bring it in, take it home with me every day? Even now, for some people, no big deal. Maybe that can work, and I just have the other keyboard here just in case, and I can fall back on that one if I forget or what have you. If I leave it here, it gets stolen, somebody else comes to use it. Unless I have an office, I have a key, nobody else is coming in here except maybe custodial staff, and they don't touch anything, they just clean, empty the trash, and go on their business. Maybe. But if this is some sort of shared office area, anything of that nature, no way. And then we didn't even get into all that. What? Where is she? Wow. I want me. Hey, can y'all get me one of them keyboards? No. What? And she said, well, I bought it with my money there. I got what? I didn't get it. I'm going to get it. And maybe the IT, if you get your own keyboard, maybe the IT people install it. Maybe they don't. Now, and then, two, since this is their equipment, IT, they got their own, what have you, some of them might say, no, you cannot install this, because if it ends up having a problem or messing up our property or whatever the case may be, or we get some sort of virus or blah, 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 and all of that, nope. I'm not interested in any of that. If they want me to have a computer, let's go. The keyboard, now, if it's something like it's causing an injury, like I said, I got carpal tunnel, then you should be able to get a doctor's note or whatever the case may be, and let's roll. Like, this sounded more like a vanity type of a deal. But I would not bring in any personal equipment like that, and I'm going to use this, and personal chair, personal desk, none of the above. I think that is asking for trouble, and that's what it seemed like happened here, where first she had it, got to use it for a couple days, black person tried to get same deal, got rejected, and then they went around and reneged. No, now you got to get rid of that, and now she's mad. And sounds like might even be mad with the black female. You know, you caused all this, which can happen in the workplace. I mean, somebody said, hey, how did she get that? I want one too. Man, he said all of this might not have even happened if the right person hadn't seen this or hadn't asked. Maybe she could have got away with having the keyboard. Maybe. Let's see. The passport photograph. Man. Now that even, what I was talking about with the whole diversity, inclusion, equity, here we go again. I think he had said last week they were doing all the anti-sex and, maybe this person, maybe they've got two dads, and, you don't know, and you can't be locked into your little petty thinking and all that. And what? How many people got two dads here? Like, what? Like, man. So they come in, they got the white family. Now, I don't know. They present, I didn't even know what to think. I was sitting there like, okay, a dude, female, and the children. I don't know. What's this like? I don't know. What? And he said, well, see, you can't be making assumptions and all that. You don't know. Like, what? Do people do that? When you have a group that comes into the courthouse and they're already, oh yeah, you already got this. I mean, just do no harm. How about that? Don't press the panic button. Help people. Be courteous. And don't help them with the answer. I think that's a fuller. Don't help them with the answer. What racial classification am I? I don't know, ma'am. You just, think about it and pick the best choice. Don't help them with the answer. Be courteous. Take the photograph. Try not to insult them when you take the photograph. How about that? Maybe they could include something about racism, but he said they didn't even do that. All this two dads and come on. And then he said, so we got the white family, and you can't make all these assumptions and judgments about who these people are and what their relationship is, and maybe they're friends, or maybe they're foster children, or you don't know. Okay. And he comes and say, well, now we didn't want to take Tony's application because he's Nigerian and might be part of a scam. What? Man, that is the lamest, and I mean, talk about it doesn't get any better than tacky. White people have for decades. Nigeria scam. Don't know nothing about Nigeria, but scamming black people. Oh yeah, them Nigerians will scam you, boy. Oh, they'll take all your money. That's the example. As soon as he said it, it reminded me. I think it was a white woman. She was in the courthouse, physically present, and she said, I just want to pick an example. I mean, just hypothetically speaking, we got old Leroy talking about alcohol. We got old Leroy. He's an old black male rapist. Like, what? Why am I come on. The same type of thing, that's the example that you come up with. Couldn't be something, we ain't mentioned Nigeria about nothing. I'm sure you got some people here, they couldn't pick out Nigeria on a map if you gave them 60 seconds and gave them money to do so. But that's the one time today we're going to mention Nigeria. Scam. Scam. Didn't even want to process their applications. Old Nigerian scamster, you. And he said, they didn't even mention racism. There it is right there. People in Nigeria, I'm sure you had, who do you think the people, these scamming Nigerians, who do you think they look like? Donald Trump? Joe Biden? Come on. Let's see. And then he said with all this, he said now, national origin. That's what they taught us. That, ooh, got to be, didn't mention racial classification. National, and that's not, you got white people that were born in Mexico, some white people are born in Korea, some white people are born in South Africa. What does that mean? National origin? What does that mean? What national origin is white? You let me know. Even what national origin is black? You got black people that, Lupita Nyong'o was born in Mexico. So what national origin? You put down Mexican? What does that tell you? Confusion for the non-white people. People classified as white, they don't get confused with all that. And then, now he said the scuttlebutt for the office in 2025. Did you hear? Nathan, did you hear? Not even a citizen. You know what her national origin is? Did you hear? Not even. He couldn't even get a white girl. He said that it caused all kinds of scandal, and they got the. Now we do have the click, so that's what they do. Yeah. That's how. Now, one can't be ignorant about racism, and you got the whole office. Did you hear? See, isn't it a disgrace? Could have found him a white woman. He cut himself off. Maybe he knows they do not approve. I'm gonna just stay to myself. I don't even want to hear talking bad about me all day long. Like, man, white people cannot be ignorant about racism, and they might have even told him, because I mean, you got generations that was white policy. Like, we will let you know, we do not approve. You are a white man, you are a white woman, and you laying down getting married with some non-white, some savage. Where'd you get her from? Nigerian? Is that where you got this chick from? They will let you know a lot of times, so he might know the white, or they'll let you know at minimum. Yeah, I think he's even said that about some of these white chicks in the office that are doing the same thing. So they are not ignorant. I would pay attention to all that as well. That's why I said, like, if you are a non-white person in the workplace, I would not do no flirting, talking about your dating, none of those habits, because that's what you got. You see, this is how they're talking about another white person. Another white man at that. High ranking, too. He said this is not like the white janitor or, custodial person, like how powerful white person at the courthouse messing around, getting, dark oak, and she's not even born here. One of the folks President Trump is talking about, make sure they can't stay here and messing everything up and, going back where you came from type of, well, they married now, so we stuck with them. But, man, and he got all them Trump supporters at the court. I forgot about that. They're the exact folks that put him in office. Like, they've been talking about, like, yeah, man, we trying to get rid of them, and you bringing more over. Like, come on. Get it together, white man. That's probably the type of thing that they're saying, too. They're not ignorant, folks. Dr. Maya Angelou, she said that in the book just yesterday. She said it repeatedly. White people are ignorant about racism. False. None of that would be possible if white people were ignorant about racism. All of that would just be, oh, how great. And, he showed us some photographs and she looks so interesting. Does she speak English? We'll bring her in one day. We'll all go out. That's what it would be. What's the big deal? What's the problem? That's not, and I bet that's what it would have been if he had married white Australian, white German, white New Zealand, white South Africa. I said that before. if this was someone classified as white, but it just happened that they were born in a different part of the world, and maybe it is, I don't know, but I suspect not. If you got all these folks, mad and all the rest of it, it would have been what I said. Wow, where is she born again? That's amazing. Well, you'll have to, but we can all go out for lunch and blah, blah. What, did you know that his wife, she was born in Australia? Isn't that, how did you all meet? That's what it would be, I suspect. Maybe we'll see the pictures eventually. We'll find out if he got a white woman who was just not a U.S. citizen, or if he got, somebody, he got a little dark oak, and now all the white women are mad. Or at least, I don't know if they're mad, but at least they got a whole lot to say about him, and it sounds like it might not be constructive. And even that's interesting, because he's told us apparently they got a number of white women. They're in tragic arrangements, sexually suing black females. Why didn't they come to his defense? Like, hey, if maybe I'm wrong. See, I put that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he did marry a white woman. But if this is a non-white chick who's born overseas, all these white women that's swirling, they should have been the first line of defense. Like, whoa. It sounds like y'all are being racist. I am a part of an interracial family. We support justice. And I think it's really tacky and trifling what you all are doing. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go tell. I didn't hear that. I could be wrong. Did you suspect that the person that this white man married is a non-white person that was born overseas? Because I could be wrong. He could have married somebody white that was just not a U.S. citizen. Do you think this is somebody non-white who was also born outside the U.S., as they say?
Yes, sir. I'm thinking so. Because it was a victim of racism, black female, and the white female that makes the racist comments, and she's involved or has been involved with the black male. They, of course, was doing their whispering and talking about his brother came in with the person that he is married to, which is someone non-white as well. And they just tend to make these comments about who the top person is dating, the head white person. I do think this person is non-white, and I agree. I would be thinking that they would be defending him as well. We had these are the same type of white people that practicing the racism where the black person gets up, see, now they'll wait for the person to go on their lunch break. Oh yeah, you can, like how I shared this before. Oh, the coast is clear, and but yet she was still talking to the same black female, or she'll get up and say, "Hey, you know what? I'll be back in a few minutes." And what she's doing is going to do some unjust networking with the white woman who also is flirting with the black male who brings in gallons of water. She'll flirt with him, the black guy. But yet they still are practicing white supremacy. So I do think this is a non-white person.
Much obliged. He said his brother is doing the same thing. He said his brother got him a little non-white victim, and they mad about the brother too. Sit up and talk about it. See, runs in the family. See, both of them, no count white men, both of them. See, and the deception, because that's what supports the whole thing. The whole thing being the system of white supremacy is lying. And you got the hypocrisy, and I mean that is the lie of lies. You got white women, they got children with a black dude, and all that is turn on. Girl, it's a disgrace out here. Come on, man. And same thing, the one that's even more trifling. You can be sitting around and flirt. Leroy, I was thirsty just thinking about you. How you doing today, Leroy? And then turn around and, I hate it, girl. You know he done went over there and got something. Come on. It does not get any better than triple T through and through. non-white people, and you see the confusion, because he said you'll have white women, they are in some sort of tragic arrangement with a black person. They will do these racist things or what have you, but they still hang out. They'll go and talk to the black females and such at work. Obviously, they got a black person and black children at home, but they still do all these racist things. And they can be slick with it, too. The deception about it, because he had said that. They'll wait. They got their little codes and everything. And they're, wait a minute. Okay, girl, here she goes. Man. And then they go and get all their racist jokes in or talk about black people, talk about black people that they got at home, call them monkeys or whatever else. And then, oh, wait, resume. Yes. How you doing, girl? So good to see your hair. Looks so good. And it does not get any better. And that confuses so many of us, because we will swear. I used to be this, swear up and down, because not all white people are racist. You got a black husband and black children. You got a black husband and black children, so not all white people are racist. Exhibit A. Nothing could be further from the truth, but we are confused about what it means to be classified as white, confused about the system of white supremacy racism, what it is, how it works, which principally we get back to the first question. What does it mean to be classified as white? And they understand that. It means you're not supposed to be marrying no nigger woman. Wrong with you, running around here trekking. That's why we put Trump back in office right now. Disgrace. And particularly because he said this is like the most powerful white person at the courthouse. I suspect it may have been a teaspoon different, just a little bit, if this had been like the janitor or even like the bailiff, like not exactly the custodian or whatever, but not the most powerful, like the most powerful. Why don't you go get you a white woman? Like what? What? Ming Chong? What? Lakeisha? What? Oh, disgrace. You're a disgrace of a white man. That's exactly what they're saying. That's why you don't hang out with them. Stay over here. Stay by myself. Wait till my brother comes. We go out for a double date for lunch. I'll stay by myself. Thank you. Much obliged, caller at the courthouse. Let's see. I don't think we missed anyone. Yeah, you should get 60 seconds if you have commentary before we wrap up. Again, we'll be here the next 2 days, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Compensatory call-in tomorrow. We'll have more details about the... Oh, it's first day of Black History Month. First day of Black History Month. But we'll have more details about the crash, and there were many other things that took place over the course of this week. We'll catch up on that. And then, as I said, Sunday, same time, slightly bummed, but, compensate, make do, right? Was hoping we could revisit Roger Golubski during the Super Bowl, right? Because that's Kansas connection. Well, I don't know if you all know, but you should. This is Kansas, and some things are more important than Kansas, than even a three-peat at the Super Bowl. Yes, I think a white police officer raping a whole community of black people and falsely imprisoning black males in the process. Yes, I think that is a teaspoon more important than Pat Mahomes and the Brain Damage Bowl. Just a little bit. I could be wrong. And I said, man, Taylor Swift, she could have got all of Golubski's victims. This doesn't make you whole. It doesn't make it right, and that no-count criminal, rapist, race soldier took the coward chicken way out. But we are going to do it tough in New Orleans. We are getting a suite for the Super Bowl. We getting the flyest hotel room you can imagine. We are doing it tough. We're going to have custom-made fur coats that say F. Golubski and all that. And KC, we are going to do it tough. The Swifties, we got you for this week. Now, maybe that happened. I haven't heard that. I'm going to look. I'm going to do my diligence and see if that would seem like the sort of thing like, woo, KC, they would have blown that up. The Swifties would have blown that up. Somebody would have told me about it. I haven't seen that. Maybe they're going to do it for the Super Bowl. Maybe they're going to make a commercial with them for the Super Bowl with the Swifties. No violence against women, right? NFL had a whole campaign about that. They get their tacky pink ribbons. Maybe they're going to do right by Golubski's victims for the Super Bowl. Bring them out on the field. Super Bowl trophy, bam, give it to Golubski's victims. This doesn't make you whole, but we're going to do our part to make it right. Make it better. Super Bowl champion. There you go. Here you go. Get in there. Travis Kelce, get in there. Get in there. We will see. But we will revisit all of this on Sunday. Again, this had been going on for years and publicly reported, raping whole neighborhood area of black people. Doesn't even count as a neighborhood, really, just area of black people, victims, raping and torturing, terrorizing the whole area of these folks for decades, and nothing done about it. And then he commits suicide before it all goes to trial about his rapes of these black females. We will chat about this. I remember I said I had not really heard anything about this until the arrest, and that was in 2022, just a couple years back. But it had been going on for years. Even before that, I'd never heard anything about any of this. Now, again, I don't live in Kansas, so, to a little bit of leeway, but not a whole lot, because it's been going on for a long, long time. We'll catch up on all of this on Sunday. Again, why I emphasize, check the news. You can read, you can watch, you can listen to a little bit of all, but be aware of what is happening in your local area. It is critically important. Hopefully that's modeled here at the Cows. Dr. Welsing modeled that. Mr. Fuller has modeled that. Dick Gregory, Dr. Cambon, many Black Panther Party, many generations of black people thought that was one important way of us solving the problem of white supremacy racism, being more in for white people try to keep us confused about what is happening locally, nationally, globally, universally in the system of white supremacy racism. Universal man, universal woman, they are super informed about things that are happening on this here planet, even with us ourselves. Any hoodles, we'll be here 24 hours, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Sobriety would be best. Now, I know dry January is ending, and we are ready to get sloshed for the Super Bowl. But that said, sobriety would be best. Preserve that brain computer. If we're going to have what's the point of having Black History Month if you're going to have a brain computer of mush? Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask that you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. No name calling black people. No gossiping. No throwaway offspring. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.